What is going on, guys? I'm gonna bring you something a little different today. I went down for our family fishing trip down to Lake of the Ozarks. No, Table Rock. Holy cow, Table Rock Lake. We went down to Table Rock Lake and we were doing some spoonbill snagging down there. And spoonbill, they get humongous. Lake of the Ozarks actually just broke a record, state record in Missouri for paddlefish with one that was 164 pounds, something like that. But anyway, me and about 17, 18 other guys in my wife's family, we go down there to Table Rock Lake every year, and we snag for spoonbill. And we fish for everything else there too. You know, it's just a big family deal. We usually go down on a Wednesday and come home on Sunday. You know, not everybody's able to make it there, you know, on Wednesday. A lot of people have to work, you know. But we spend, you know, the majority of us spend 5 days down there. I got to spend the full 5 days down there this year, and just got back from that trip yesterday. And we have a blast down there. This was our 10th year in a row of of going down there. Now I haven't made it down there for every one of them, but man, it's a blast. But what I wanted to talk to you today about was some of the gear that you would need. Now, I mean, if you have the live scope, you know, you can just pull right up on them, drop down a weighted hook. This is a weighted that we make these, you know, for ourselves. It's just a lead weighted number 10 grab hook, and this one is unweighted, of course, just a number 10. But if you have live scope, you can just pull up to the fish with live scope, find the fish you want, drop either your weighted hook down or your unweighted hook, is the way I understand it. Now, I've not done it, so anyway, you drop it down, you snag your fish, right? Well, before the days of live scope, and not everyone has live scope. We have one guy that has live scope out of our group, but but the way we did it for years before that was you tie 2 hooks on your line, about that far apart right there, and 2 treble hooks on your line, and then you put a big lead weight, you know, on the very end of your line, and you can either cast it and yank it, you know, that's why they call it snagging, you know, you're yanking the pole all day, or you can just drag it along behind the boat, right? Well, then years went past and they came up with these dipsy divers. And these actually pulls your line down where your line behind your boat as you're driving. You're going to drive between 3 and 5 mile an hour, probably, something like that, 2 to 5, I think. And this has got, you know, this is pulling from right here. And you can already see the angle it's on because this is weighted right here. There's like a weight right here. And this pulls down, so it pulls your line. If you're just dragging a heavy weight, your line is going to be more like this, right? So your line is liable to rub the fish before the hook gets to it to snag it, okay? If you're more straight up and down, you're just going to run your hook into it instead of rubbing. I mean, that's the theory, all right? And anyway, let's see. Before we get into it too much here, I'm going to give you guys some information that I got straight off the Missouri Department of Conservation's website. In our lakes, which is Truman Lake, Lake of the Ozarks, and Table Rock Lake, that is open right now for snagging season, the season runs from March 15th until April 30th. You're allowed 2 fish per day, and you're allowed 4 in your possession. All right? The fish have to be, in the lakes, 34 inches from the eye to the fork of the tail. Now that is literally, okay, here's your fish. There's the fork of the tail, right? Just like that. Say his eyeball was here. So from here to the fork of that tail right here, from here to there, has to be 34 inches before it is a legal fish to keep. All right? That is everything that I got off of the off of the Missouri Department of Conservation's website. Of course, there's a lot more online you can read up about it, but that's your main thing that you probably need to know. You know, there's other areas that may be different, but all right, these Dipsy divers are pretty cool. You can set the tension, and I do all this with my Leatherman. I don't know if you watched any of my other videos, but my Leatherman Wingman, the tools on this fits everything that's on the Dipsy diver. All right, and you got your pliers for getting your hooks out and everything else. So these pliers are awesome. So what I'm going to do right now is pull out this big flathead. See, that takes a flathead screw right here. All right, you can adjust the tension on this. Okay, so whenever this is going down the lake, right? It's going just like this, right? Well, whenever you need to reel in, if you pop your rod real hard, that will pop out. Well, whenever that pops out, then this will run flat to come to you. Then you can crank it in, and you don't have all this weight pushing water, you know, in order to try to get it reeled in. So if you just pick up your rod out of the rod holder, or if you're holding your rod, just yank it real hard. I mean, pop the crap out of it really hard. This will come out. This will pop out of this little groove that it sits in, and then you can reel it in easier. These are used, so they got some sand and grit in them. See how it kind of snapped in? Did you hear that? But that's the way it would normally run, so therefore it's pulling. And so you can adjust that. You can adjust that with this, right? Then you can take your Wingman, flip out your Phillips head, and you can use the Phillips head to adjust the weight. Okay, right now that weight, if you look at the way this is set up, it's straight up and down. Turn it around, that weight is straight at the bottom. Okay, so that means that whenever I'm pulling this, it's going to be pulling straight behind the boat. Okay, so if you're pulling 3 lines like we usually do off the back of the pontoon boat, you've got one in the middle that is running absolutely straight. Okay, and then if you want to widen, you know, you have three lines running. If you want to widen those 2 outer ones out, what you do, this has got a screw in the very bottom of it. Okay, you can loosen this with your Leatherman. It takes a Phillips head. Loosen that up. Okay, if you're wanting this to run to the right side of your boat, you're going to move this weight over to the left side. Okay, see how I move that weight? It's all on this side. You'll move that weight to the left side, and then that weight's going to pull harder on this side, and it's going to kick your line out to the right. So you always put your weight opposite. You rotate that weight. See how that moves? You rotate that weight opposite of the way you're wanting it to go. Okay? So the one on your right, you want this weight rotated to the left. When you want to pull the other side, you're going to rotate it to the right. All right? Rotate that to the right, and then it's going to pan your diver out to the left. Then you're pulling in a wider path. You're not just right here and right here. You have your one in the center, and then you can adjust these for however wide of a path you want it to take. All right? So that's a really cool addition to these Dipsy divers. And these run, we buy these at the lake, and at the bait shop we buy them at the lake, they're $10 a piece is what they are. And you can find them online. You can find them on Amazon. All different sizes, all different colors. I don't really know what size this one is. You can just kind of tell by looking at it. I don't know. It's about 3 inches across, 3.5 inches across, something like that. 3 inches probably. But they make them bigger and smaller. And these are what would be considered an average size one, a big one, what most people use. But what this is on here for, this at the back, I really don't know. I don't know what that is. I don't know what it's for. We've never used it. I don't know. We just tie on, you know, right here on the end. But anyway, that's the Dipsy divers. They're really cool, and you can do everything you need to do with them with this Leatherman. So if you're going to get into snagging, you're going to get into trolling and using these, buy you a Leatherman Wingman, because every tool on this is handy, right? for doing this type of fishing. Let's see. What do we need to do now? All right. The rod we use, this one is a heavy. It is a 7-foot heavy action rod. I mean, it's heavy. It's heavy duty. But we've found that when we pull the Dipsy divers, you need a pole that has a little more flex than these. So some of us have bought lighter rods now. This is the rod that it's called a snagging special. You buy it at Bass Pro. But this is really for dragging lead weight or actually, snagging, jerking the rod. All right. If you're using the Dipsy diver, a little bit lighter rod than these seems to work a lot better. You can just see more about what's going on the end of your rod because it's not so heavy. But the reels we use big pin reels, or we use this one is a Strata Max STMX 30. But you want something that has a line counter, because you want to run, depending on the depth of the water, you'll be anywhere from 25 foot behind the boat all the way out to, say, 125 feet behind the boat, just depending on the depth of the water and how far or how close you want your Dipsy diver and your two hooks to run to the back of the boat. I don't like the Dipsy diver to be digging in the dirt real hard. I just want that Dipsy diver. I just want this diver to, just bump the bottom, every once in a while, just so that way I know it's really close to the bottom. Because most of the time your spoonbill are a bottom feeder, right? They're a bottom feeder fish, so they're going to be really close to the bottom anyway. So you want this to be as close to the bottom as you can get it without bumping a whole lot or bumping real hard. And if you get to bumping pretty hard, you're liable to pop that out anyway. And if you pop that out, then you lose all your tension, and then you have to reel in just to fix this. So try not to let them bump the bottom real hard. Like I said, try to keep them up off the bottom. Just let enough line out as you're going, say about 3 miles an hour. As you're going down the lake, let your line out and then stop it. And then if it's bumping, reel it up to where it's not quite bumping. If you've stopped it and it's not bumping the bottom, let a little more line out till it does bump the bottom. And then, like I said, reel it back up to where it's not bumping consistently. It's just bumping the bottom every now and then, right? With this the lay of the land under the lake, the lake bottom. I always set this, so you have to set the drag where when you're pulling your Dipsy diver, it's got just enough drag on it that it won't pull out as you're going down the lake. And if you're bumping the bottom every now and then, it won't pull the line out. And that's another thing. You hear that click? I can turn that off. I always run it with the bait alert on. So if there's any drag being pulled out, or if I snag on something, or if I snag a fish, I will hear that even with the boat running. I'll hear that. And then I'll know, hey, I'm either hung, or my line or my drag is too loose. And if you have a fish, you're going to know it. I mean, you're just going to know it. When you hook into something, that's 20, 30 pounds or more, you're going to know when you got a fish, all right? Whenever it hits, you're either hung because it's just stopped and it's ripping line, or you're either hung or you have a fish. Whenever you hear that, then that drag rip out, But anyway, we're going to get rid of that. We're going to get rid of this. I'm going to go ahead and set this rod up. You guys can see how I set it up, okay? All right. Another great thing about this, scissors. These have got the most awesome scissors for this too. You're going to want a heavy rod, a big heavy reel, and you're going to want 90-pound, 100-pound test, whatever you can get, of braided line. We use braid on ours because it's so much stronger than anything else out there, and it's just easier to deal with on these big rods. So you're going to want heavy braided line. We're going to take this Dipsy diver here. We're going to go ahead and tie it on. Okay. just going to run it through. You guys probably can't really see what I'm doing here. And I'm just going to just tie an overhand knot in it, just a regular knot, just to keep my knot from pulling out. I keep this stupid simple, guys. There's no elaborate knots, elaborate fishing knots that you're going to have to worry about with this. So you're going to run it around and just basically do a slip knot, right? Just basically do a slip knot. And I want that knot close to the slip, as close to the slip as I can get it, all right? So, it's not, like I said, nothing elaborate at all. I didn't even get the knot that close to the slip, but at least if it slips down to the knot, it can't pull out, right? I mean, it's stupid simple. All right, now what I'm going to do is I'm going to go up. I'm going to go up about that far, literally about 2 feet, 16 inches, something like that. All right, go up about that far. I'm going to take my line, put it in a loop like that. Take this hook. I'm just going to run it through the hook, the end of the hook. All right. Then I'm going to run all that loop around the hook and then pull it down. Okay. So now you can see about how far away my hook is from my dipsy diver. Now, you can't just have your hook just dangling like that. So you have to make your hook where it's in line with your line, okay? It has to run in line like that. It can't be running like that, all right? For one thing, it's going to slip. So take this right about where your hooks are at. Take this line right here. I'm just going to twist it about 3 times, all right? Then I'm going to take the loop that I've made around my finger. I'm going to put it around 2 of these hooks, okay? And I'm just going to pull it all together. Then it's wrapped around those 2 hooks. Now, my hook is running straight as it can be with my line. See what I'm saying? So as that's going through there, it's running straight, okay? Now, I'm going to go about that same distance again. Go about that far, okay? And I'm going to tie another one on. Pull some drag out here. All right. Right about there. Go through make a loop, go through it, go around all the barbs of the hook. All right. Pull it up until it's tight. Then test about how far apart I am, right about there. Then, like I said, go around my finger 3 or 4 times and put it around 2 of the barbs and just kind of pull it all down tight. Pull it all down tight, kind of slow, so that way your line still lines up with everything else. There you go. That one is in line too. So now that's what I have. Okay, I got a hook over here, hook there, and a dipsy diver. All right. You can, I'm pretty sure, yeah, you can run another hook too if you wanted to. If you wanted to run a 3rd hook up there, you could run another one up there. If you think the fish are high that day, you can see them on your depth finder, that the fish are kind of high that day, you can run another hook up there. I'm almost sure that is legal to run another hook up there. But we always just run 2. We run 2 grab hooks, like I said, just like that. So whenever you're done, your hook should be about an arm spread apart, you know, a little less than an arm spread apart. Because here's my dipsy, there's my hook, there's my other hook. That's what I got going on there. All right, and that is how you set it up. Then you cast it out, look at your depth for what you're trolling in, get an idea of your depth, and like I said, cast it out. If it's bumping the bottom, reel it up where it just bumps every once in a while, okay? And then you just drive around, and then you start praying that you hit a fish, because sometimes it's not as easy as you would think. And yes, we do get hung up and stuff. Sometimes, you'll hang up, and if you get hung up, you take your boat, you drive around, and you got to have a man on the rod, and you've got to reel your other two in, okay? Say one gets stuck, you got to reel your other two in. All right, you take the one that's stuck, you reel it in, you turn your boat around, and you go above, okay, because you're dragging like this, and you got hung on something here. So you're going to want to drive your boat around and keep that line tight, and then get above wherever you're stuck on and pull back this way. And a lot of times when you turn around, you pull back away from whatever you're stuck in, you can get this out, all right? You can get these hooks out. Most of the time, sometimes, I don't know, 60% of the time you can get them out. We'll go with that. But there's been weekends where I just lost everything every other day, you know. So it happens. But anyway, that is all you need for snagging, is a couple of rods like that and you know, a buddy. Because it'd be hard as heck to do all this literally by yourself. I mean, people probably do it all the time, but it'd probably be pretty rough. But anyway, I just wanted to tell you about my trip. Like I said, we go down there to Table Rock Lake every year, and I'm going to roll in a bunch of pictures of all of the fish that we caught down there. It was a pretty bad weekend. It was a great weekend, okay? The weather, we had just had 2 cold fronts back to back. And as far as the fishing goes, it was rough. And as far as the snagging goes, they're just, man, there's so many people down there live scoping. Fishing the old ways like we do with this Dipsy diver, it's not even as effective as it used to be, because there's so many more spoonbill that are getting messed with, okay, because of everyone out there with the live scope. You know, they're out there. There's guides out there. You can get a guided trip. You know, they'll guarantee us fish. I'm sure of it. But you know, if you don't want to pay for a guide and you just want to go do it yourself, it can be done. I mean, we've done it for years, but some years it's a little easier than others. That's all I'm saying. And with the guides out there, you know, ripping fish out, you know, consistently with the live scope, it's got the fish, I believe, that's just me, I believe it's got the fish a little more in tune to their surroundings, is what I'm thinking. But we had a good weekend. We had a lot of fun. I smoked a lot of cigars and drank a lot of beer. It's a lot of fun. You know, you get 18 guys together and they're all doing what they love, is fishing. You're going to have a blast. But we stay in a little motel there, and we end up renting out almost every room in that hotel between all of us guys. You know, it's a small hotel, so it's not real big. And there's a little restaurant bar there, and, you know, we end up down at the restaurant to eat every night and end up drinking a few beers in the bar. And while we're at the restaurant, you know, eating, we'll take turns buying each other buckets of beer. So it's fun. I mean, it is fun. That's just all there is to it. But anyway, I figured I'd bring that to you and tell you about our trip. And if you want to hang out, I'm gonna roll in some footage of all the fish that were caught. Now, some of these pictures, they're not real good. They're just kind of blurry, and you know, I had to cut people out because, you know, I don't know if everybody wants to be on YouTube. So it's just pictures of people holding the fish. But some of the pictures aren't the best in the world. But I'll try to roll in that. And I have a video of me pulling in a 60-pounder. I'm going to try to roll that in too. Like I said, the pictures may not be the best, but if you want to see a lot of pictures of some crappie and bass and some spoonbill and catfish, I mean, we done all types of fishing over the weekend. I mean, there was a buddy done some jug line fishing. I did crappie fishing. Another couple of guys done crappie fishing. Quite a few guys done, you know, bass fishing. Seemed like the bass bite was the best, you know, for the whole weekend. But anyway, I'm going to roll in that footage right now, and we'll come back. We'll do something else next time. So, see you. There he is.
Oh, that's a dandy.
Golly, that's a big one, Ray. Big.
I'm just trying to get him in.